Dead Candy. Dedicated entertainment for the dead.
One of the all-time slashers that we've talked about and everyone knows he's on the Mount Rushmore 100% is Jason Voorhees in the Friday the 13th franchise. There was a tidbit of news, something that we have talked about quite extensively. It's been in the works for a while. It's been kind of dormant. There's a lot of legal battles over Jason, Friday the 13th, who owns what. But there's a tidbit of news. It seems like the series Crystal Lake is moving forward. That's exciting. And it's more exciting based on who is doing it. And I know you've got something to say about them, Danny.
No, I think that you hit it right on the head there. It is absolutely exciting. We could be excited about a lot, and then until we actually see it with our own eyes, we won't really be able to see or feel what we're getting. Not every return to a beloved franchise is a hit. Sometimes it's a stumble, as we saw based on some returns to maybe the Halloween franchise, maybe the Exorcist franchise. But there have been a lot of returns. But this one, I do believe folks have been highly anticipating. And as Lance mentioned, a lot of legal battles having to put the brakes on this franchise, so to speak. But the brakes have been pumped no longer. We are 16 years have been since we have had a new installment in this franchise. Folks, that is a substantial amount of time. But if Nightmare on Elm Street doesn't kick it into gear, it's going to be right next to it because, those two staples of horror for so long have been quite dormant. But yes, been reported as of April 22nd. Crystal Lake is a go with A24 and Peacock. Friday the 13th TV series is finally coming together for real. So it looks like they have found some middle ground, something that they can proceed with. But it's really exciting, as Lance mentioned. We have still yet to see what this individual delivers, but the series showrunner for Crystal Lake is Brad Caleb Kane, which is a cool name in itself, given the history of who's played Jason in the past with Kane Hodder. But this showrunner is also the showrunner for Welcome to Derry for HBO's Max. I've only seen a few photos of it. I'm pretty excited about that. The revisit to it, both chapters have been one of my favorites. So hopefully it is a hit. But what we know about Crystal Lake is this is going to be an expanded prequel, is how it's being described. So we may not see Jason Voorhees. Well, I'm sure we won't see Jason Voorhees as an adult. We probably might see Jason as a young lad, but it centers around, of course, Pamela Voorhees, played by your friend and mine, Linda Cardellini. So it just depends. She can be Velma, she could be a Hispanic mother, or she can be Jason's mother, and she will be playing Pamela Voorhees. And I will give you the quick synopsis. It says... this centers around Mrs. Voorhees, described as a mother who had given up a singing career. Are you kidding me? A singing career to raise a special needs child, and takes a dark turn, obviously, when she loses her son, of course, being Jason. Okay. That is the table setter. Lance, I pose the question to you. With 16 years in between the last time we saw anything from the Friday the 13th franchise, given that it might have been actually a Jason movie, do you think a super prequel starring or centering around only Pamela Voorhees is going to be a hit?
I think there is a lot to play with, but I think the fan base will be split because there's not going to be a hockey mask Jason in this. But I do love the lore from the first movie. That's what this is going to be based on, is every character, everything from the first movie. Basically, we just can't have Jason the slasher. But we can have all the tales that led up to that. We can have the fires that went off and the camp counselors that had died in the past, and the ghost stories, the camp stories that set up the very first movie. So can it be a hit? It can be. It definitely can be. But I think a lot of fans of the Friday the 13th franchise won't even tune in. But I think this can work. And why I think it can work is because the Chucky series just happened, and I thought that was a blast. At least the first season I really got into. That was a lot of fun. And then just this synopsis kind of reminds me a lot of a Bates Motel, which was kind of cool in its own right. I just wanted it to be in a different period. I didn't want it to be modern. They don't say it. Is this modern, or is this going back to the 60s, 70s?
That's a good question. It does not mention it at all. We are going based off very little information. Obviously, we're getting the synopsis, but we are also only just getting a picture from the series, from the showrunners' Instagram. I will say this, which is, I think this is a moment. This is a moment for horror fans because this has been a long time coming. We have been clamoring. I will include myself in the populace. We have been clamoring for a new installment, and we're saying, get your shit together, get your legal shit together. We want to be there for you all. Can you just figure it the fuck out? And we will show up. So I hope showing up. This is a series for Peacock. I hope we show up in some way and watch this and give it its flowers, because as you mentioned, the Chucky series was a success. However, it was only a success really with horror fans. As we have seen, it's kind of in limbo, and it's probably not going to be renewed for I believe, fourth season at this point. But all that to say is, you never know. You never know, because if they I always like to kind of, when I think about these sort of TV shows kind of living in two worlds, I think of Friday Night Lights, the TV show, because a good friend of mine described it as the reason it could never find its footing. And if you remember when it was coming out, it like started on NBC, then it was like on a direct TV channel for a little bit towards the end. Kind of weird. It never really on its footing, because it was for the folks who were tuning in to see a sports series and wanted to see a lot of sports being played. They were like, "Oh, what's all this teen drama?" And then for the folks who were like, who are really into the teen drama, they were like, "What the hell is this sports shit?" Right? So it just never really appeased the two worlds. I think it's a dangerous sort of endeavor to go in super prequel land, just because, as you mentioned, Bates Motel, that's a fantastic call out, because are you just kind of waiting for him to become Norman Bates and for him to, I mean, if Vera Farmiga's alive, well, we know it's not the real Norman Bates, because obviously in Psycho, the mom is not alive. But like the same goes for Gotham. And then eventually the fans are like, well, is he going to become Batman? Then he becomes Batman. You're like, ugh, I don't know if I wanted that. So, so all that to say is, I will go into this series. I will go into this with open eyes and a fresh perspective. Hopefully I will listen. I will want to see what they give me. But if folks are going to be tuning in just to see when does he become Jason, and is there going to be a hockey mask, and listen to this. You all were fans of the franchise for a lot of reasons, but for the most part, the introduction to the fun, interesting kills, Mrs. Voorhees showed us that. She was the first one to like string up people and put the arrow through Kevin Bacon's neck. So I would be interested to see like the metamorphosis of how Linda Cardellini is going to play Pamela, and to see how her go nuts, because you could see, like, as it says, she starts off to try and be a singer. But I'm as curious as you. I wonder, are they going to put it in the 50s and 60s or whatever time it is? I don't know. I would also really hate to see it modern. Yeah, I would hate that.
Yeah, modern won't work. I love, like, man, all I'm like craving is like, go back in time, show us a different period, show us how things work in a different place, a different world. I don't want to be here, Right. I don't want to be here anymore. But I was just thinking, like, Pamela Voorhees either needs to be straight off the bat the main character you're like focused on, and she's your new Jason Voorhees, or you need to play maybe on the curse of Crystal Lake, and maybe that turning her. There needs to be, you need to know right away this is not about Jason Voorhees. Like it's a catalyst maybe down the road or something, but there needs to be a star that right away you're like, okay, it's the curse of Crystal Lake, and then it's Pamela Voorhees, and then because of all that, Jason Voorhees comes back with a vengeance. Like, you need to get out of your head that this is about Jason Voorhees. It's not. It's how cool when we watch Friday the 13th now, I love the campfire stories of how cursed Crystal Lake is, and nobody knows it's a person. It's just cursed. It's just cursed. That's all it is. There's fires, there's attacks, there's all these weird things going on, and nobody knows why. And people are, go with that maybe, or immediately make Pamela Voorhees like the stunner killer. Like she needs to have a bite right away. I think that's kind of how you get us.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna want to lean into the curse aspect, first of all, there are many types of curses. So would this one be a death curse? Maybe that's right. The type of curse we want to lean into. No, a young crazy Ralph. What the hell? Maybe that'll be fun. Maybe that'll be fun. But here's what I'm gonna say really quick. Be careful if you are the script writer, obviously, for the episodes, that you don't make the character who is going to end up killing people in the most heinous way too sympathetic, right? Because like as we saw in Freddy versus Jason, it's like obviously there was an antagonist. Obviously there was a bad guy between the two, and you're like, hold up, didn't Jason punch someone's head off and rip someone to shreds, and we're supposed to be sympathizing with him? Oh, he was bullied. Because it's like that moment where you're like, oh dang, you hit him back or whatever. Somebody's being bullied at school, and then the kid who finally stands up for themselves starts hitting them back, and they're like, oh yeah, you got it. But then he never stops punching, and he just keeps on punching, and it's like, okay, Ralphie, it's okay, Ralphie. Stop it. So that's a very kind of thin line, and it's easy to mess up where you make, you're like, oh yeah, Pamela, I really feel for you, because here you are just trying to take care of your kid, and so you're justified. And then she's like, oh, wait a minute. She kind of jumps the shark a little bit, and she goes overboard in some of these kills. But maybe that is the actual dynamic that's really going to be interesting to see, is like, as an audience, how do you resonate with that feeling of saying, I am sympathetic to what she's going through and what she, ultimately has happened to her. But am I going to be ultra sympathetic that now she's starting to kill people, and where do I draw the line? So yeah, maybe that's going to be fun to see.
Yeah. I think it can work, and I hope it does. I will obviously tune in. I'm very curious. I do like a good origin story, but this is a delicate one. You know what I mean? This is you've got to be really careful with the elements of this and what you're allowed to go into and what you can't touch, and the fans need to know that going in as well. I think there's a lot of old school fans that are going to love it. There might be a few fans like, I'm out, and maybe this isn't for me, which, is fine. That's totally fine too.
It is totally fine. Hopefully they show us a way to where, because this is such a tumultuous sort of legal battle, hopefully they show us that these two things can coexist, and that they're like, yeah, this is exactly how the courts have decided it. If it's having to do with anything from the original, this is how you're going to present it. But once you get into Jason with the hockey mask, that is a totally different crew and such. I will say this, they better not, I swear to God, they better not do, be ultra aware. I want them to lean into the shit that we fell in love with. Like, give me the one-liners that Pamela Voorhees said. We all need to know that Jason wasn't a very good swimmer. We need to know all that stuff. And do not let us, watch this series and not hear the stuff that brought us to the dance, right? I want to hear someone say, it's going to storm. It's going to tear through that valley like a son of a gun. Like, I need to hear those things, and just kind of might bring me down to where I need to be. That's just me.
It's such a fine line too. When if we do go back in time, there's like a commentary on what that time was. And then there's the natural neutrality of what came out of that time and those actors and what they did. You know what I mean? When people make fun of it, it's not genuine, and I'm not invested, because I'm like, oh, this is somebody from 2025 making fun of the 80s or 70s or 60s. And
that's a good point. That's a good
You
point.
got to toe that line. There has to be something natural to the characters. They need to understand what time they're from. And I really hope we go back. I really hope it's not modern. Like going back to the Bates Motel, I remember like the opening of that show. I was like, oh, okay, cool. We're in 1961 or something like that. And then the next scene when they actually start bringing in all the new characters, there's a cell phone there. I'm like, oh, I'm out of it. Nope. I don't like the modern Bates. I don't like this. Yeah. It doesn't work for me.
I don't know. I guess we're getting old, Lance. We're becoming those folks who are like, you can't really tell a good story without all these gadgets. You know, put us back in the day. Like I'm over here, like trying to be like, ooh, you know, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a place you can go to where it's like the phones didn't work, or like your cell phones didn't work. You could only like use landlines and such. I'm like, harken back. And I'm like, wow, might as well just be somebody clamoring for 8 tracks to come back at this point, right? But I get your point, and that's something that I actually have never really thought of myself. Is like there is the way it was, and then there's the way we remember it, and that's how we're showing it. So that's a good call out. I'm hoping that they take care. It sounds like this is a showrunner that has been trusted with some very lucrative IPs. So hopefully it's a swing and a hit, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, did you see anything you like?
Thanks for watching Slashers Paradise tonight. Please hit the like and subscribe button and turn on all of your notifications so you know the next time we post a video or go live.
And if you'd like an audio-only version of the show, search for us on wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, you name it. We're on all the platforms. We just ask that you leave a rate and review of 5 stars. And if you don't know what to write in the review section, put a recommendation of a horror movie you would love for Lance and I to talk about.
Yes, and if you'd like to get the full experience of Slashers Paradise, including videos and audio all together, go to deadcandy.com, that's DEDCANDY, or go to youtube.com/deadcandy. Here's to you guys.
This is Slashers Paradise! Sorry, I had to work that in.
And I'm going to drink on that.
Blended Canadian.